Hey, sixth graders, we are going to do some dividing fractions, but first I'm going to show you a little picture about what it means to divide fractions and kind of what happens to the number. As you kind of noticed, when we multiplied fractions together, the numbers got smaller. So when we do some dividing fractions, what you're going to notice is sometimes the number is going to be a little bit bigger. I'm going to show you why in this picture, kind of what we're doing. So we're going to take five wholes, which I have represented here by these 5 circles. We're going to divide them into halves. So what's going to happen is I'm going to break all of these circles into a half. And I'm going to show you why when we multiply fractions using the rule, what happens. So now what I have here is I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 halves. So my answer for this would be 10. Now, how do I get that mathematically? And if you take a second to look at it, you're going to see that there's a 5 and a 2, and I know 5 times 2 gives me 10. So what happens when we actually divide fractions is what happens is we keep the very first one. And the very first one, when it's a whole number, remember, we always put a 1 underneath it. So we have to keep it, 5 over 1. We change the division symbol, and we change the last fraction to 2 over 1. So what you're going to see is you're going to do 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 1 is 1. And now I've got 10. That's why we do our multiplying fractions first, because now you see that we multiply straight across. But for dividing fractions, you have to remember this rule right here. And we're going to keep using it a couple times to practice. The rule is keep, change, change. So we're going to remember that first one. We're going to keep it. We're going to change our division symbol to a multiplication, and then we're going to change our 2/3 to 3 halves. And then we're going to multiply across. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 2 is 4. And then our new fraction is 3/4. So remember, keep, change your division to a times, and then change your fraction to flip it over. Okay, let's try another one. And if you want to pause it, try it, go right ahead. But for this one, again, we're going to keep 3/4. We're going to change our division symbol to multiply. And we're going to change our last fraction to 3 over 2. We'll just kind of flip it over. And then we're going to multiply across. Now we got a new question. We got multiply. We practiced all last week. We'll just multiply. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 2 is 8. Then we're going to ask ourselves, how many times does 8 fit into 9? Because it's an improper fraction. We like everything proper. And 8 fits into 9 one time. And if I take 8 out of 9, I'm left with 1. So 1 and 1/8 for our fraction here. Remember, always make sure that you make a mixed number or reduce your fraction. You can't reduce this one, so that's this one. Let's look at 2 more. Here's the next one. Now, remember on this one, we're going to keep, change, change. We're going to keep 7 halves. We're going to change our division symbol to multiply, and we're going to change our last fraction to flip it over to 4/5. Now we've made a multiplication question, and we're just going to multiply straight across. 7 times 4 is 28. 2 times 5 is 10. And then we look at this, we know, oh man, that's not going to be good enough. It's improper, so we want to make it proper. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how many times does 10 fit into 28. And if I get stuck, sometimes I like to do this. I like to say, I know 1 10 is worth 10, 2 10s is 20, and 3 10s is 30. And what I see is 30 is too much for 28. So I'm going to need 2 10s, 2 full 10s. And then I ask myself, how much more to go from 20 to 28? Well, I know it's 8 more, so that's the top, 8 over 10. And now I tell myself, I'm not done yet because it's not reduced. And I look on here, I want to think of the big one that fits into both these. And I think it's going to be 2. So I divide by 2 on the top, divide by 2 on the bottom, and I get 4/5. So my new answer is 2 and 4/5. Reduced and a mixed number. And then we'll do one more just to remind us of the whole number. So here's a new one. Our new whole number is 6 divided by 2/5. Remember, with whole numbers, we just put a 1 underneath it. Everyone's got an imaginary 1 under there. So 6 over 1 divided by 2/5. It's a division problem, so I keep change. I'm going to keep 6 over 1. I'm going to change divide to multiply. I'm going to change that 2/5 to 5 over 2. And then I'm going to multiply. 6 times 5 is 30. 1 times 2 is 2. And then I know 2 goes into 30 15 times with nothing left over. So our answer is 15 for this one. Now remember, we're here to help. Today on Tuesday, you can come into the chat at 1 o'clock. For the half hour, we'll go through questions. You can just try them out. We'll ask you a couple, and you can help out. Or email your math teacher, and we can help you out. You guys have a great day.